AirAsia's A321neo. Sleek, efficient and the new backbone of their regional network. But how was the experience, considering that until this day I was never really satisfied with AirAsia yet? So it's time to take a close look at their latest product on this rather long flight from Guangzhou to Kuala Lumpur. Fancy joining me on this adventure? Welcome to Fly with Dominic.
Hey folks, and ni hao from Guangzhou International Airport. Today I'll be flying all the way to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, on board Asia's largest low-cost carrier, AirAsia, in, well, obviously economy class, as they don't offer any alternative to this at this point, and a part of that, I'm too poor to fly business class that often.
But enough of complaining, as I definitely know that I am insanely entitled already by just being able to do a tour like this, no matter the cabin class. Anyway, as always, I arrived at the airport rather late, with the check-in already being closed. But as I already checked in online, there is no need to visit the counter anymore, and since I'm traveling light, I can head straight to the security. For those who are wondering, my flight today is AirAsia flight AK113 to Kuala Lumpur, scheduled for departure at 11:20 AM from gate A144. And as you can see, my flight has already been set to final call and I still need to pass immigration, so let's head there quickly.
Alright, the security control and the immigration control took like way longer as I initially expected. So yeah, my gate's closing in 2 minutes and I'm still some meters away from it, I guess. But well, let's just hope for the best, and let's also hope that they, well, wait for me.
But coming back to the content of a traditional trip report, the terminal itself felt calm and impressively clean. Spotless floors, efficient layouts and a generally more relaxed atmosphere compared with many European gateways. And there we already are, gate A144.
Whew, don't ask me how, but I somehow managed it to arrive at the gate right as it was about to close. So, perfectly on time to say so.
Sorry for my bad humor. Anyway, I gotta say that the jet bridge here in Guangzhou offers a great view on today's Airbus A321neo, which is also coming in a special livery, as this is the very first A321neo ever being delivered to AirAsia.
Alright guys, I finally made it inside today's AirAsia Airbus A321neo, all the way to my seat 20F, which is fortunately right next to the emergency exit. However, let's use this rather decent legroom situation. To calm down a little bit and get back to normal business. So let's take a quick look around today's seat.
So the legroom situation here is excellent. Definitely worth the surprisingly low extra cost of just a few euros for the pre-selection. The view outside the window on the wing and the iconic A320 family sharklet is spotless. Did you know that they are actually 2.44 meters tall? Well, now you know. Anyway, in front of me there is a foldable table as well as a magazine compartment, or rather net, holding the onboard menu and safety card. Also, with no one else in my entire row, at least until we reached cruising altitude and somebody else realized and came to my row, it's a bit of a jackpot situation for me. With the doors closed right on schedule, we pushed back and began taxiing to the active runway. Guangzhou's massive taxiway system means a bit of a drive before takeoff. Plenty of time to spot some of China Southern's widebodies and a few domestic narrowjets parked along the way. By the way, the Airbus A321neo, or new engine option, is the stretched and more efficient version of the popular A320. Entering service in 2017, it offers up to 20% better fuel efficiency and a noticeably quieter cabin. AirAsia configures theirs with 236 seats in a single class, making it ideal for high-demand routes across Asia.
bit of flight formation. Currently we are cruising at 35,000 feet above sea level and heading southwesterly, currently in Hong Kong airspace. With ground speed of approximately 850 kilometers per hour, our estimated time of arrival at Kuala Lumpur International Airport, KLIA Terminal 2 will be on schedule at 2:30 p.m. There's no time difference between Guangzhou and Malaysia. Time check now is exactly 11:26 a.m. Weather outlook is generally fair, bit of scattered clouds along the way, so I'll advise you to fasten your seatbelts and your seatbelt.
Alright, we are finally airborne, and due to severe turbulences right after takeoff, the cabin crew had to postpone the start of today's in-flight service. However, now, after 45 minutes after departure, I finally got today's flight meal served, and this is what it looks like.
So I pre-ordered a chicken biryani, which honestly doesn't look too bad. It's basically spicy cooked rice with a bit of chicken curry and some sort of a bell pepper dip or chutney. A bottle of still water is also included in the price of just below €3.
So let's have a sip of water first to get rid of the taste of the chewing gum I was chewing during takeoff, and finally give this lovely chicken biryani a try.
After trying, I must say that the chicken was a little dry and also not as spicy as I was hoping for. For most Europeans, however, I do think that this is already too spicy, but I'm just on a different spice tolerance level. With the meal finished and trays cleared, it's time to take a quick look around. The seat design is typical of low-cost carriers. Slimline, simple tray table, no adjustable headrest, and of course no IFE screen. However, the legroom in this exit row makes a big difference, especially on a 4-hour sector. Also, there is no Wi-Fi, no power outlet, neither an USB charging port nor an universal power outlet, but that's expected on AirAsia. Most passengers bring their own devices, which perfectly fit in here, or simply rest while on board. But let's also take a quick look at the contents of the magazine net in front. First off, a plain sick bag as well as the safety card of today's Airbus A321neo can be found there. Additionally, there is a flyer about a so-called moon ship gift box containing various mooncakes. And finally, here is the onboard menu called Santan. One thing I do really appreciate about many Asian-based low-cost carriers is that they have a huge variety of comparatively affordable hot meals. AirAsia, for example, offers nasi lemak as both veg and non-veg, as well as roasted chicken with black pepper sauce, mala stir-fry hot pot noodles, their famous Uncle Chin's chicken on rice, as well as my pre-ordered biryani, also available plant-based, and many more options. Also, many cold sandwiches and cakes are offered, as well as plenty of sweet and salty snacks, and finally a decent selection of beverages. An onboard shop magazine is also available. What I really like about this is that AirAsia offers plenty of airline branded souvenirs, such as airplane models or removed before flight keychains, and even clothing like these polo shirts or caps. About 3.5 hours after departure, the first signs of descent began. By the way, Kuala Lumpur International Airport, or KLIA, opened in 1998 and is Malaysia's main gateway. The airport has two terminals, the main KLIA and KLIA 2, used primarily by AirAsia. Both known, at least to me, for smooth operations and a convenient but really expensive rail link to downtown Kuala Lumpur. So honestly, I usually take the much cheaper bus, which is also not taking too long. But let's finally enjoy the landing. Touchdown was smooth and on time. Taxi to the gate took only a few minutes, bringing this calm and efficient 4-hour sector to an end. So let's try to sum up this flight. AirAsia's cabin crew remained cheerful and professional throughout the entire flight, and also seemed to have a little fun time between the onboard services. That's always nice to see, also as a passenger. Generally speaking, this was a surprisingly smooth ride with AirAsia. The aircraft and its cabin interior were clean, as said the service was friendly, and my pre-ordered meal was cheap and tasted okay. So for a 4-hour hop across Asia on a budget airline, you can't really ask for much more, especially considering the low ticket price of just around 50 euros, of course excluding all the extras. So as always, it's time to take one last look on today's A321neo that took me here to Kuala Lumpur safe and sound, and to thank you guys for watching this video until the very end. I wish everyone out there an amazing day, stay tuned for my upcoming videos, and cheers!